Bonjour monsieur et madame, it is me le chef Reddit, today I have a specialala Reddit for you. Bon appétit and remember to subscribe.
Lawyers of Reddit, what's the worst way you've seen a person screw over someone else in court, whether it be criminal, civil, or divorce proceedings? Not the worst, but one that sticks out that they did to themselves. Woman shows up to court in a "It's party time bitches. Drink up" t-shirt. She was there for her first appearance on a third DUI charge. Judge was not in a humorous mood that day. Not my case, but still my favorite story. Dude screwed himself over when he went to jury trial for a burglary charge and wore the same, distinct sweatshirt he wore the night he committed the crime. Kind of hard to argue the guy in the video isn't your client at that point. Needless to say, he was convicted and spent a few years in dock. There's a lawyer in my town who has a reputation for being a real dick. He left a very successful firm to go off on his own. He and the firm negotiated which clients he would take, and how eventual fees from those clients would be divided. All seemed fine and dandy. As soon as he's out the door, he sues his old firm, saying the deal is unenforceable and that he should 100% of the fees from the clients who came with him. He lost, and appealed, lost again and appealed to the state Supreme Court, where they shut his ass down and, in extremely diplomatic language, pretty much called him a dick. Not a lawyer, but when my Phil and Mill got divorced, she wanted to file jointly for the previous year because they were still married. They would have gotten a decent refund. He insisted on filing separately, despite the fact that he would owe $4,000 because he wanted her to also owe the IRS. He did it to frost her ass. Sitting waiting for my client, and the judge is giving a mass colloquy for an alternative program on a DUI. Basically probation. Question: has anyone consumed alcohol or taken drugs in the last 24 hours? Obvious answer aside, one dude proudly raises his hand: I smoked some dope last night. He did not get probation. A wife filed for a restraining order because she wanted the house during divorce. Husband has good job, like $200,000 per year. Employer finds out about restraining order, husband is fired. He was very specialized employee, so only job he can find close to house, ex-wife, and daughter is $50,000. House gets foreclosed. Child support at less than $500 per month. Wife has to get job as waitress. 4 cars get repossessed. Kind of a self-screw, but the MPAA entered DVD John's code for breaking DVD copy protection as part of their lawsuit into their evidence, which then became public record. The code that breaks DVD copy protection was now available to the entire world, defeating the entire purpose of their lawsuit. Was involved in a custody case where a wife cheated on her husband and had a child as a result. She let husband believe the child was his until she was about 5 years old and they were divorcing. To stop him from getting custody, she convinced the biological father to try to get custody, thinking that if he won she would wind up with the child. Became a huge three-way fight, multiple sets of grandparents involved, attorney's fees skyrocketed because the case would have been pretty quick otherwise. She couldn't pay her attorney, tried to get the bio dad to, got even messier, etc. Basically there still isn't an agreement all parties will follow. They are in and out of court every year or so. She screwed herself. IANAL, but there was a case going on in my town between a father and son that was hilarious. The dad is a big-time personal injury attorney around here who started his own firm under his name, George Sink, and his son ended up joining the family business. Well, they had a falling out, so the son goes off to start his own firm. He has his dad's name. So the dad is suing the son for using the name he gave him to start his own law firm. Not a lawyer, legal assistant. My attorney is pretty old, so he needs me to help him find papers and stuff in the courtroom, so I go over for all domestic and criminal cases. We had a custody case where the mom was already screwed because she was literally picked up by a bounty hunter while the dad was there getting their daughter for visitation. Anyway, dad's new wife gets on stand and testifies that the mom, the defendant, threatened to blow their house up. Mom gets on stands and says, I didn't threaten to blow your house up. I threatened to blow you up. Judge was like face screaming in fear, face screaming in fear, face screaming in fear. Edit, fuck off emoji police. First of all, Second of all, I remembered another one. Had a criminal client who choked his wife out. Told the investigator, I knew what I was doing, I know how to choke someone out without killing him, never change, Alabama. Had a criminal jury trial for misdemeanor criminal mischief over 4 years ago. State filed charges and kept amending the information to the point where they left the actual victim out of the trial and proceeded with the 2 eyewitnesses. Well, one of the witnesses was my client's ex and the other witness was the ex's new GF. They claimed my client vandalized the actual victim's car. Client denied everything. Well, apparently, the state and both witnesses had no idea that the ex had an outstanding warrant for not paying child support to my client, which created a motive for him to lie. Asked him if he was aware that he had a warrant out for his arrest on the stand. He didn't know. The judge excused the jurors. The bailiffs arrested the ex on the stand. State rested. Judge granted our motion for judgment of acquittal because we had good case law for the victim not being there. Client walked away free and the ex went to jail. Basically all custody battles where neither parent is a legitimately horrible person, parent everyone is better off * without. The kids always get screwed. A witness for the plaintiff in a civil suit, who was a co-worker of the plaintiff, testified very strongly against the company and in favor of the plaintiff. I questioned her about bias toward the plaintiff, if they knew each other well, were friends, etc. She said, no, just friendly coworkers, work friends, at best. I pinned her to it. When I got a chance to cross-examine the plaintiff, she had no choice but to burn her witness's credibility, because not only were they very close friends, but they had become sisters-in-law just a few years before. No, they did not have the same last name or anything, but I had done my homework. I still don't get why people want to fight small bias by destroying their credibility, but it happens more than you'd think. I'm a paralegal. The best situations are when we get a sovereign citizen, someone in the USA who thinks that the US laws do not apply to them for a vast variety of reasons, hire us but won't let us do anything on their case. We've had to actually fire a bunch of clients because they have gone against our rules, like, don't send a letter to the judge, don't write your own motions, don't announce that you're not Mark Smith because Mark Smith has capital letters and you were born with lowercase letters, etc. Honestly, a whole thread on these people wouldn't be enough. Lady brought a frivolous case to get out of a contract she signed. She lost, then sued the attorney and the witnesses for conspiring against her. They got her case dismissed and an award of attorney's fees which she refused to pay. A lawyer recorded it as a lien on her house and scheduled a foreclosure sale, which caused her mortgage lender to declare a default and accelerate entire mortgage balance. A lawyer made a side deal with lender to pay them all proceeds of the sale and then sold her house on courthouse steps to highest bidder and then arranged for sheriff to forcibly eject her onto the street with her shit. She's homeless now. Short story, honor your contracts and don't sue your lawyer when you don't. Police officer, not a lawyer. I've had 2 different people I've arrested for DUI show up to court drunk, not on the same day. The judge was not amused, both of them got sent straight to jail for a couple days for contempt, and their cases were rescheduled. One of them showed up to court drunk a second time when the case was rescheduled. The judge was even less amused for the sequel. Wasn't there one where in a divorce case the husband asked to have custody of their pet cats and the wife had them put down out of spite? Well, the guy screwed himself technically, also not a lawyer, but I was a witness on the case. My brother was beaten by a group of guys outside a bar, because one of them lived in a place my mom rented out and tried to evict him for numerous reasons, and it doesn't stick cause in BC the rules always side with the tenant. One day after this beating they were lipping off to my mom and my brother call him out on it, so him and another guy came charging. Bro had a baseball bat nearby and smacked his buddy with it. Got charged with assault with a weapon. In court the guy who got hit came in drunk and called the judge a cocksucker or asshole or something. Judge told my brother, I have to give you something cause you used a weapon so you get probation. NAL but. A friend kept meticulous records of how much time his estranged wife spent with their daughter. He used pink highlighter for mom and blue highlighter for himself. Mom sailed into arbitration demanding full custody and handsome child support and the house. Dad pulled out 3 years' worth of year-long calendars. Mom had spent less than a full month with the child in 3 years. Mom was not happy with the outcome. Defendant trying to overturn default judgment claims person process server served wasn't him, couldn't possibly be him, etc. At hearing, process server testifies he clearly recognizes defendant there in court 2 years later because defendant physically threatened him at time of service, made himself pretty memorable. Oh, and process server was sure he served the right guy, BC at time of service. He had photo of defendant, which my client had helpfully sourced on mugshots.com. In a case where a semi-truck driver ran over and killed a grandma and her daughter, leaving 2 kids without any family, the defense attorney said, "Really, the semi-truck driver is the victim here because he has to live with what he has done." Represented a guy that stole 3 trucks from his work. Only 2 were recovered before trial. He showed up to a motion hearing in the 3rd one. Some of my favorite stories of people being completely destroyed in court are ones involving a neighbor who decides to cut down trees that were not on their property line. They think, oh, it's just some dumb trees, who cares, but that can get really expensive, especially if they are older trees and you're pretty much guaranteed to lose in court. I am not a lawyer, but I heard a story about a woman who had her soon-to-be ex-husband over during a custody battle and seduced him by getting him heavily intoxicated. She led him out to his car, sat him in the driver's seat and then called the police. He got a DWI and lost his parental rights.
Thank you for watching. What was your favorite answer? Do you have a better one? Comment it down below. Au revoir.